What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of American Fiction, the new comedy drama film starring Jeffrey Wright, written and directed by Cord Jefferson in his feature film debut. Cord Jefferson, perhaps not a household name, but should be of particular interest to people in the know due to his really esteemed television career over the last half decade or so. Honestly, one of the standout TV writers of recent times, of course, working on shows like The Good Place and Station 11 and Succession and Master of None, then famously winning the Emmy for writing for the Hooded Justice origin episode, arguably the greatest episode of that fantastic miniseries from 2019. So the Cord Jefferson debut feature film sold itself to me. I was going to see it no matter what it was. And then when you take that and combine it with a cast featuring Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K. Brown and Tracy Ellis Ross, it's pretty impressive. I really enjoyed American Fiction. I thought the satirical basis of the film, which is namely about how black people exist in culture and how perhaps at times they might pander to what white people expect of them within society, and a bunch of other things as well. I thought the satirical, humorous bend to that premise was done really well. The humor was great, despite heavier, serious subject matter at its core. And also, the movie features, I think, genuine heart and family dynamics. And again, despite having a pretty consistently humorous tone. And I had a great time with this. I saw this in an early screening. It's not actually opening for another 2 weeks, but the screening I went to was packed, and the humor was raucous. Like, the crowd was loving it. And I have to say, I was really into the movie. And I just think it's really impressive. And even if, like, I've seen some criticism of the film that were like the masters of this script, the satire versus the character dynamics, maybe that is a bit in contrast with itself, in conflict with itself. You have a lot of goals with parts of the script, and maybe that's a bit messy or a bit ill-defined. To me, all those like disparate parts of this script like really work. So I would enthusiastically endorse American Fiction. Of course, this is a film that premiered back in Toronto and has been slowly preparing to release here on this deluge of Best Picture contenders. And it's funnily the second film shot in and around Boston that's contending for Best Picture this year. Just like The Holdovers from Alexander Payne, funny enough. It's really surreal for the second time in like a month that I'm watching a movie at AMC Boston Common and I see on screen stuff shot like 100 yards from where I'm currently sitting. Like, it's just a very weird feeling, I have to say. But cool. And yeah, so let's get into American Fiction. So I'm going to kind of spoil some stuff broadly, although it's not a movie that's like ripe with like tons of plot to spoil. So kind of getting into the meat of American Fiction, Jeffrey Wright plays this author slash professor character who's living out in California called Thelonious Ellison, nicknamed Monk. Just a fantastic character name, I have to say. And Monk is kind of forced into a leave of absence at his college due to his kind of frustrations with progressiveness and the attitudes of his young students, his Gen Z students. And I think the big part of that is Jeffrey Wright's, or Monk's, belief that the way black people are portrayed in culture is often due to under the gaze of how white people like to see them, and a lot of black artists play into that with kind of a pandering nature. Monk is an author, and he sees that his books that are very academic are not recognized as quote or are recognized as black literature just because he's a black man, even though they're not actually about anything about being black. And then he contrasts that with this rival author character played by Issa Rae, who writes a pretty obviously like pandering account of like quote what white people like want to see, the misery porn, the drugs, the broken families, or the struggle, the come up, and he's just kind of frustrated with that, which he sees as limiting and constricting to like what the actual black experience is and what it actually means to be black, and things like that. And in general, like that tone throughout the movie, I think it's handled really well because it's pretty sharp, it's pretty biting. There's some really like great commentary and just great pieces of writing, great pieces of great delivery, great lines, but also like the humor, as I've been saying, is very consistent. So there, like a lot of this stuff is pointed out to you in a very humorous tone, and like the lines just really hit. Um, and Monk, he's brought back home, back to the Boston area due to his mother is going through some health issues. It's revealed that she has Alzheimer's, and he has to kind of reconnect with his family, reconnect with his sister, played by Tracy Ellis Ross, reconnect with his brother, played by Sterling K. Brown, and Monk has been kind of distant from the family, and that's kind of the consistent for some time. It's not a new development. He's kind of a gruff guy, and he doesn't exactly check in on things. And I think that, like I said, the family dynamics with the movie, I think, are really good. It should come as no surprise that Sterling K. Brown delivers some really emotional moments. I think we know this from Sterling K. Brown. At this point, he's one of our great actors, and I think he does a great job. He has some great humor. There's a really funny moment he has on the beach in the South Shore area in New England. But also, there's some really heavy stuff that's about him personally and about his life, and how it reacts to the rest of his family. And speaking to like the warmth, his mother hired like a housekeeper for a long time, Lorraine, played by Myra Lucretia Taylor. Just the whole warmth with that character and how she finds some love later in life with this local acquaintance named Maynard. All of that I thought was just really heartwarming, I have to say. Also, I really enjoyed Monk's like budding relationship with Coraline, who's like a neighbor at the family beach home. Coraline, played by Erica Alexander. I thought she did a great job. And yeah, like the movie, like I think kind of the brilliance of the movie, right, is when Monk, like going on a lark, decides to write one of these like overtly pandering to liberal white people type books about stereotypical black experience. And he's doing it as a joke to kind of give an FU to all the publishers who don't want to buy his smart books. And he doesn't expect it to go anywhere, and then it becomes a bestseller. And things kind of spiral from there. He gets a movie deal. He does this under a pseudonym as well, so there's a lot of fame and notoriety with this kind of anonymous character. And Adam Brody plays a really funny movie director character. And yeah, like that kind of stuff I think really spirals to a fun way. I think the ending is pretty fun as well. So yeah, I mean, American Fiction, it's not out yet, so I don't really want to go like too deep on that, but Issa Rae I think has a really meaningful moment. Monk and Issa Rae's character come together because they both are brought on to do this literary award in New England, this like kind of book ranking, book award giving, and they're like overtly hired to make the body more diverse, and that's like set up front, and Monk just like rolls his eyes at it, man. And they have a really good conversation where Monk basically challenges who she is for writing her pandering book and finding all that success and who is to blame for those things. I think it's a really good conversation that comes out of that too. And yeah, like I really like the movie. I was kind of expecting to be impressed in some way just because I've been a fan of Cord Jefferson for some time. It sounds like Jeffrey Wright is firmly in the best actor mix. I would imagine this screenplay is in the best adapted screenplay mix as well. Best Picture nomination seems pretty safe as well. So yeah, I think it's definitely a unique movie where it has some kind of old school elements to it, but with a really like modern and sharp script. So it'll definitely be in my top 10 movies of 2023. Make sure you come back for that very soon. And of course, let me know what you thought of American Fiction, what worked for you, what didn't work for you, how'd you like it? And for more movie reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.